Coming up, a Category 4 hurricane hit the southern coast of Florida and is making its way inland.
And TUPD is investigating a series of bike thefts, what you can do to keep your bike safe on campus.
All this and more right now on Newswave.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Newswave.
Today is Friday, September 27th. I'm Michaela Minoza.
And I'm Kayla Reese. Our first story today comes from the world of weather. We'll now pass it on to Newswave's chief meteorologist to discuss breaking news in the Gulf of Mexico.
Hurricane Helene made landfall last night in Florida as a Category 4 storm. According to NBCNews.com, at least 22 people have died in the storm and 4 million are without power across the southeast. What you're seeing now is footage from the destruction left behind as Helene made landfall last night. Though the winds went up to 140 miles per hour, they fell to about 80 miles per hour as it weakened to a Category 1 storm throughout the night. The storm has already impacted many parts of Florida, causing school, airport, and road closures in anticipation of the damaging storm surge. Now the storm is heading inland to Georgia, and it is expected to impact areas in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Alabama as well. We will keep you updated on the trajectory of the storm as it continues to impact it leaves on those affected.
Trinity's campus is buzzing with action as 4 bikes and a pair of bike wheels were stolen from campus 2 weeks ago. First-year engineering student Anais Bowerman spoke out about this issue, saying, quote, "It felt like a piece of my identity had been taken. I had a hefty U-bar lock, and it didn't deter them at all. The issue is that it's so widespread that even people who use high security of their own can't guarantee their bike won't get stolen," end quote. Bowerman is now working with TUPD alongside other students to solve this issue. TUPD officer Paul Chapa has expressed plans to task more cops with monitoring bike racks to make sure thefts stop as soon as possible. As for precautions that students can take, Chapa said, quote, "We do have QR codes next to our bike racks that encourage the students to scan that code and log in and register your bike so we can have all of the identifiers to include your serial number," end quote. Another student looking to take action is Elliot Connolly, a senior geoscience major, who is advocating for more indoor bike racks, not only for safety's sake, but also for the overall quality of the bike.
Trinity hosted its first ever Queer Health Festival on September 12th. 14 on and off campus organizations participated to educate students about queer health. The event featured music, crafts, snacks, and resources for queer students. Assistant Director of Wellness Services, Marlena Widman, wanted to assure students that Trinity's wellness resources are available to all students regardless of their identity, saying, quote, "It's a whole nation issue that we have when it comes to queer health disparities, but we want to try to help alleviate them at Trinity. What I want them to do is share how their services are queer-friendly," end quote. The Queer Health Fair is one of many events and resources that will be funded by the $100,000 Mental Wellness Initiative funded by Trinity's Student Government Association.
Trinity has announced a lineup for the Steer in Arts Enrichment Series, which brings guest artists to campus for all to enjoy. The series starts next week with a reading from and a book signing from Natasha Trethewey, the 19th Poet Laureate of the United States. The event will take place next Tuesday, October 1st in Ruth Taylor Recital Hall at 6 p.m. On Wednesday, October 2nd, the Department of Communication will host Emmanuel Osei-Kuffour to explore his career as a filmmaker. Osei-Kuffour will also be visiting classes in film and video production on campus to discuss his film Black Box and the day-to-day life in the field of work. The next artist, Brett Price, will visit campus on Tuesday, October 15th to present a lecture in Ruth Taylor Recital Hall. Not only is Price a renowned sculptor, but he's also a parent to a Trinity University alumna from the class of 2003. His lecture will be the precursor to the opening reception of the By Design exhibition, running from October 15th to December 14th in the Niedorf Art Gallery. Lastly, Matthew Durst will perform a harpsichord recital next February in Ruth Taylor Recital Hall. He will also be visiting music classes and even providing a master class for harpsichord and keyboard students on campus. All of these speakers and events are free for all Trinity students, so be sure to check out these awesome opportunities this year on campus.
Still coming up, where and when you can watch the first televised debate between Texas's senatorial candidates.
And steps you can take to ensure your ballot is counted this upcoming November.
Newswave will be right back in 60 seconds.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Get a life in which you're generous. Realize that life is the best thing ever and that you have no business taking it for granted. Care so deeply about its goodness that you want to spread it around. Once in a while, work in a soup kitchen. Be a big brother or a big sister. All of us want to do well, but if we do not do good too, then doing well will never be enough.
Welcome back to Newswave. Senator Ted Cruz and Democratic challenger Representative Colin Allred have agreed to a televised debate. The debate will air on broadcast and digital platforms around the state of Texas on October 15th at 7 p.m. This marks the first on-stage face-off between the candidates, but both nominees are no strangers to high-stake political debates and pressure. Cruz has taken part in dozens of debates during his run for the GOP presidential nomination in 2016, and twice debated his previous Democratic challenger, Beto O'Rourke. Meanwhile, went toe-to-toe several times with Republican U.S. Representative Pete Sessions in 2016, ousting the longtime incumbent. Be sure to tune in on the 15th to hear from the candidates on their policy platforms and why they should be your senator until 2030. Up now, we've got your local weather update from Newswave's chief meteorologist, Luke Morton.
Hi everyone, my name is Luke Morton and I will be your weather reporter for Newswave this semester. I hope you all have gotten a chance to get back into the groove of things and I am very excited for the semester ahead. The S in September has stood for sunny, but unfortunately it has also stood for sweaty. This month has been quite hot with highs in the 90s and temps even got close to 100 earlier this week. On Wednesday we did have a slight cool front blow-in which has made the past couple of mornings a bit nicer with lows in the 60s. It also helped to drop our humidity a little bit. This weekend we look to see more of the same with highs in the upper 90s and mostly sunny skies, and rain chances look to be essentially zero. Unfortunate because we haven't seen some rain in quite some time. Next week looks to be a continuation of hot temperatures and mostly sunny skies, with it being perhaps a bit cooler toward the end of the week. With October around the corner, there will eventually be a light at the end of this tunnel of heat. Here's to hoping that that light comes sooner rather than later. Anyways, that's all I have for this week. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you back here on Newswave next week.
The November 5th election is nearing, and the deadline to register to vote is right around the corner. As Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton continue their crusade to limit voter fraud, you may be at risk of losing your eligibility. Ensure your voter status is active by visiting the Texas Secretary of State website. Log in using your Texas driver's license, voter ID, or date of birth. If you are not yet registered to vote, fill out a voter registration paper by October 7th or register while renewing your driver's license. If you've changed your address since you registered, your registration may have been suspended. Confirm your address before the October 7th deadline or fill out a statement of residence. If successful, you will receive a new certificate. To make sure your vote is counted later this fall, be sure to register or check out your registration before the 7th.
The State Fair of Texas kicks off today and runs until October 20th at Fair Park in Dallas. Gates open from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., Sunday through Thursday, and until 10 p.m. on the weekends. Tickets range from $5 to $25 depending on your age and the day of the week, and parking is $30 in the official lots. The fair uses coupons for food, rides, and games, so if you went last year and still have any coupons left over, make sure to bring them. They are still redeemable.
Coming up, Congress passes a measure to keep the government running, and the mayor of New York is under fire for his engagements with foreign nationals. All this and more when Newswave returns after this short message.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On Wednesday evening, Congress passed a 3-month funding deal to avoid a government shutdown set to begin next Tuesday. The bill wanted a landslide with both chambers, with the Senate voting 78 to 18 in favor, and the House voting 341 to 82 in favor. The Speaker of the House, Republican Mike Johnson, unveiled the bill last Sunday after his original proposal failed to pass last week. The original bill combined a 6-month funding measure with a controversial proposal, requiring people to show proof of citizenship when they register to vote. In an open letter sent on Sunday, Johnson affirmed his decision to seek a new bill, saying, quote, "Shutting the government down less than 40 days from a fateful election would be an act of political malpractice," end quote. The new bill also gives the Secret Service an additional $231 million following the 2 recent assassination attempts against former President Trump.
Early Thursday morning, New York City Mayor Eric Adams was indicted on 5 federal charges, including wire fraud, bribery, and soliciting contributions from a foreign national. In the 57-page indictment, New York prosecutors accused the mayor of accepting luxury international travel from foreign business people and a Turkish government worker in exchange for official favors. In addition to free travel, hotel rooms, and meals, Adams allegedly accepted illegal campaign contributions from foreign donors. In anticipation of the indictment, Mayor Adams released a statement on Wednesday evening claiming, quote, "I will fight these injustices with every ounce of my strength and my spirit," end quote. The Turkish embassy in Washington, D.C. has not yet responded to a request for comment by NBC News.
Starting in the very near future, Americans will be able to order free COVID tests mailed directly to their homes. The U.S. Health and Human Services Agency announced that the free test program will be operational before the end of September. Households may order up to 4 swab tests from covidtest.org, which will detect the most current strain of the virus. These tests are coming just in time for the holiday season before friends and family come to visit. Paired with the CDC recommended vaccination this fall, the free test program should help Americans have a safe and healthy winter.
Still up ahead, we've got information on the fighting between Israel and Hezbollah, and your campus sports update with Newswave sports editor Caleb Reed. Stick around, we'll be right back in 60 seconds.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
How far you go in life depends on your being tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant of the weak and the strong. Because someday in life you will have been all of these. All of us want to do well, but if we do not do good too, then doing well will never be enough.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Newswave. It is awesome to be back once again this year, and we've got a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and jump right on in. First off, football got its second win of the season in their second home game of the year, riding a dominant defensive performance to take a 16-10 victory over the Washington and Lee University Generals. The Tigers shut down Generals running back Jacob Romero in the first half, holding him to just 10 yards in a season where he has averaged 147 per game. Trinity's defense also got after the Generals' quarterback and enforced mistakes, generating 3 turnovers as well as multiple turnovers on downs to secure the victory. Trinity is on a bye this week, but they will travel up to Kentucky next weekend to start conference play before returning home to play Sewanee in 2 weeks' time. Trinity Volleyball split their opening road trip of conference play, defeating Texas Lutheran in straight sets before falling to Southwestern 3-1. Southwestern, who was ranked number 23 in the nation prior to the weekend, won the first 2 sets of the match to gain early momentum. Trinity fought back with a commanding third set, but the Pirates clawed back in the fourth to slam the door shut and secure the win. The Tigers have a road trip going on until the middle of October, and they will continue that with games in Kerrville against Schreiner later today, and then a game in Austin against Concordia tomorrow. Soccer begins their conference schedule at home this weekend, taking on Schreiner University to begin conference play. The 5-0-2 Tigers take on the 1-5 Mountaineers tomorrow here at Trinity, making it the only game at home this weekend. Also, congratulations to Trinity women's tennis stars. Ruth Hill, as well as Olivia Kim, both represented Trinity in the ITA Regional Championships last weekend, earning not only titles, but also All-American recognition for their accomplishments. That's going to be it for me. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all again next week for more sports coverage.
Tensions are escalating along the Israel-Lebanon border as both Israel and Hezbollah have threatened to intensify their cross-border attacks, despite growing calls for de-escalation. Israel's military reported that around 150 rockets, missiles, and other projectiles were fired from its territory from Lebanon last weekend. Some of these reached deeper into Israel than before, forcing thousands into bomb shelters and damaging homes near Haifa. In response, Israel launched strikes on Hezbollah's targets in southern Lebanon, claiming to have destroyed numerous rocket launchers. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that Israel would take, quote, whatever action is necessary to restore security along the border. Meanwhile, Hezbollah's deputy leader, Naim Qassem, declared that the group is ready for any military scenario, vowing continued resistance against Israel. These remarks were made during the funeral of high-ranking Hezbollah commander Ibrahim Akil, who was killed in an Israeli airstrike on Beirut on Friday. The strike claimed the lives of 45 people, including Akil and 30 civilians. The situation remains tense, with both nations on high alert and the international community watching closely.
Kenya has pledged 600 more police officers to Haiti in the coming weeks to fight off gangs controlling much of the capital, Port-au-Prince, and nearby areas. This will increase the current Kenyan contingent to 1,000 personnel assisting the country's struggling police force. Haiti has been the victim of widespread gang violence spreading throughout the country over the past year. With these dangers, Kenya's President William Ruto said that he supports turning the current Kenya-led security mission into a fully fledged United Nations peacekeeping operation, allowing for increased funds and resources. Over the past few months, the mission has seen some limited success. President Ruto claims nearly 400 Kenyan officers on the ground have been, quote, working hand-in-hand with Haitian forces to protect the people and restore security, end quote. While progress is still slow, there has been criticism in Haiti in the past at the lack of a decisive mood against these gangs due to a lack of logistical and technical capacity to combat them. Hopefully, the continued support efforts from Kenya and the United Nations Security Council will be enough to continue to turn the tides against gang violence.
The UN General Assembly took place in New York this week, and a two-day climate-themed summit was a part of the conversation. World leaders gathered to discuss the Pact for the Future, a plan to increase cooperation between nations and provide more access to climate finance. However, some leaders warned of growing mistrust between nations as climate disasters continue to present themselves around the world. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who launched the summit, discussed these issues by stating, quote, international challenges are moving faster than our ability to solve them. Crises are interacting and feeding off each other. For example, as digital technology spread, climate disinformation that deepens distrust and fuels polarization, end quote. The summit, which began last Sunday, kicked off Climate Week in New York City, where there was around 900 climate-related events around the city throughout the week. With events like the summit and Climate Week, world leaders are hoping to approach the climate agenda with more urgency as natural disasters continue to wreak havoc all over the world.
That's all the time we have this afternoon.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Friday, October 4th. Until then, I'm Michaela Minoza.
And I'm Kayla Reese. See you next week.